Yes lads, Faley here. So today we've got another formation breakdown and review. Today we've got the 4-2-3-1 now. This was a very popular formation last year, probably the best formation in the game. This year I still find it really effective, and the custom tactics I'm about to show you are very good, and I would highly recommend implementing them into your gameplay if you are to use this formation. Obviously there's a large emphasis on having two strikers this year, it seems people believe, but I still think the 4-2-3-1 works perfectly well. You don't need two strikers necessarily, depending on who you have in these attacking mid positions, as long as they can, support and act like a striker, some of them. We'll get into players who can sort of play them roles a bit later on, like we did in the previous episodes of this kind of mini series I'm doing. But I'll jump into the custom tactics right now. Right then, so like last time, I've got 5 custom tactics I'd recommend you guys use. We're going to start off with the balance, and we're going to go from ultra defensive to ultra attacking. So this balanced one is pretty similar to the other ones. Again, I just find this is probably the most default one I'd go with for any formation pretty much. So you have your 5 width for both defense and attack. I don't really like playing around with width unless it's to do with the narrow formations to try and get players wider. But free depth, I find that's almost like the balanced kind of depth on this game, because I find that you're just going to end up coming against drop back so much. But if you don't want to play drop back, you still need to have a lower depth. It basically just means that your Cdms in this formation will be further back, but your attacking mids with the instructions won't be dropping back all the time this deep, so that the counter attack will still be on for you, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And for the offensive, again, balanced is just, I'd say, like I said, this is the most balanced custom tactics in my opinion for the game. Width 5, again, players in the box 3, so basically that means if you're running down the wing with your left attacking mid or right attacking mid, the only players really who are going to end up being in the box are your striker and central cam, as you can see from the little animation down there. Corners and free kicks, again, like I always say, is preference. For the instructions, I have getting behind, stay forward on my striker. I don't want my striker even filtering back into defense, so just make sure he's always up there for a counter attack, or just to start an attack, hold up the ball, stuff like that. But also the getting behind, because often who really plays with a target man on this. For example, I use Kenny Dalglish, so I'm going to want him to make them in behind runs and then try and hold up the ball and then play through from there. For my central cam, I have him on stay forward, get into the box. So for me, this is Messi. I don't want my central cam filtering back because I already have my 2 CDMs there, and he doesn't really need to cover the space. He is essentially like a second striker in my eyes in this role. I have getting to the box on though for the reason I just said, so he'll be the one getting into the box with Dalglish. For the 2 wide attacking mids, I keep it on basic support, and the only different, well, it's the same on crosses here. I have getting to the box basically. So say Messi ends up switching with like a Neymar here, whoever's or Mbappe, something like that, for example, they'll still be the ones like Mbappe or Neymar will get into the box basically to support Dalglish and give the option. Not that I cross that much anyway, or at all, because heading's just so ineffective this game. It's more for the low drivens, I find. So for the 2 CDMs as well, I have stay back while attacking, cover centre on both. But one thing I have been testing is this defensive behaviour, and the thing I found is if you have your taller CDM, so in this case my left CDM is Patrick Vieira, on cut passing lanes, they'll literally be intercepting so much. So I'd highly recommend having cut passing lanes on your taller CDM, whether that's so say you rock with Kante and you have like a Pogba or Sissoko, or like I have Vieira or Hullet or something like that. Basically make sure your taller CDM's your left CDM and have it on cut passing lanes. For your fullbacks, stay back while attacking. You don't want them bombing up the pitch on the balance formation. You want to keep this nice structure of almost like 6 at the back, stop getting counter-attacked, even though despite having to stay back while attacking on your CDMs, you'll still find them filter in and around the attack quite often. So we'll move on to the ultra defensive and work our way up. So for ultra defensive, this again, like I always say, this is like an 85th, 90th minute kind of tactic. You just want to hold on to the lead. Drop back again, don't mess around with width. Depth 1, you know, you just want as many people behind the ball as far back as possible. Long ball, like I said, so just get the ball up the pitch, you know, make sure you have your strikers making runs and stuff like that, just getting behind, stuff like that, you know, keep the ball in the corner as far away from your goal as possible, in my opinion. That's if that's how you want to play, then this is probably the most ideal attacking style you should use for an 85th, 90th minute kind of situation. Players in the box 1, you just want minimal amount of players to get in there. You don't even really want to be crossing it if you get to the corners, to be honest. You just want to be trying to hold it in the corners. But if you know there's a free opportunity to get a cross in for maybe even to extend your lead, then you know you always want at least someone in there. Corners 1, free kicks 1, like I said, it's always preference, but if you're going to be ending up with using this sort of custom tactic, you're not going to really have anyone in the box for corners anyway. So with the striker, getting behind, and I'm not sure why it's on stay forward, it should be on comeback, but you still want them to be able to make them making the forward runs as to why you have long ball, so at least someone's getting in behind. Your cams, come back on all of them and have your support and crosses on balanced. This way you're not having them bombing up the pitch to try and get into the box, and also you're having them just kind of sit almost like a wall, almost with these two CDMs, almost like a 5-man wall, with this cam playing is more like a centre mid kind of role. Yeah, so come back on all of them, stay back and cover centre on your CDMs and your left centre mid again, cut passing lanes, find that to be effective. Both your fullbacks on stay back while attacking again, for the same reasons as before. So for your defensive, again, drop back, but this time it's depth 3. This is more you're 1 goal, 2 goals up, or you're unsure on your opponent to begin with. You think they might be a better player than you, but you just want to figure it out, sort of, you know, see how you can grow into the game, stuff like that. Then drop back, depth 3, width 5. I wouldn't really recommend going any lower than 3, to be honest. Otherwise, you're putting yourself at a position where your team's too far back and you'll struggle to even hit on counter attacks and stuff like that, which seems to be very effective this year. Offensive style, I'd have it on balance. Players in the box 3, like you see by the animation, that just basically means your striker and central cam will be getting into the box. Width 5, like I said. Balanced as well. I mean, you could go possession if you want to try and slow things down and see how you go, and you'll see by that animation you have more options when you play possession in terms of the angles players will make for you, but it's all down to preference. I prefer balance, so this is what I'd go with, and I tried possession and I didn't find it effective, but you might. Again, it's all about trying to play around with custom tactics at this point of the year, see what works well for you, but these are just what worked well for me, and I feel like people should give them a go. I feel like they're quite generic, almost custom tactics, but effective at the same way, if that makes any sense. Corners I'd have on 3, just so you always have, you know, you can still have a threat from corners in the box. If you have 2, like you say, or like you can see, even you only have the front post and central, whereas if you have it back post, if he's moving his goalkeeper up to cover the front post, you can always knock it to the back, whereas if he moves his goalkeeper up to the front post and you play it central, like on 2, the goalkeeper can still easily come out and get it. Free kicks, preference, I don't really cross it in from free kicks, to be honest, but you again, it's preference depending on how you take free kicks. Your strikers, I'd have get in behind, stay forward. You don't want them filtering back, you just kind of want them to be leading the attack and, you know, be making them runs in case you do counter attack. Your cam, your central cam even, I'd have that on basic defensive support and get into the box. So the basic defensive support means they'll just filter in between the two of stay forward and get back. But the get into the box kind of means that they'll be more in an attacking role, so they might not filter back as much, but you'll see what I mean more in game. Whereas if, so say you had this on balanced, you'd definitely see them being more defensive. So if you have this get into the box, you'll see them more attacking, and also that kind of works with the players in the box. So you'll always have your central cam getting in there with your striker for support. For the wide attackers, or wide attacking mids, I'd have come back on both and get into the box. Come back just means they'll be supporting the fullbacks and the CDMs, so you'll almost have like 2 banks of 4 to defend there, with the central cam just in front. When you'll see that when defending, and get into the box on both of them, just so they're always supporting in case you do get a crossing, and it just creates a bit more chaos in the box for your opponent. I mainly do low driven, so as my attacking mids aren't the tallest, and I kind of find it quite effective to do the low drivens and have this on get into the box. It just basically means you'll see you'll have more threat in the box, basically is what I'm trying to say. So again, cut passing lanes, very effective. Stay back while attacking, cover centre. You don't want them pushing up at all really in this formation, or at all for either this one or the ultra defensive. Stay back on the fullbacks for the same reasons as before. Now we move on to the attacking ones. Now, press on heavy touch. So if you want to be pressing, play either press on heavy touch, constant pressure, press after possession loss. In my opinion, you need at least step 5. If you have it any lower, your team just isn't high enough up the pitch to initiate a press and it be effective. Width, again, I don't like to play around with, but depth you definitely need on minimum 5 if you want to play press on heavy touch. And if you do, I'd stick it on balanced, because if you then play press on heavy touch, fast build up, it'll just be chaos, to be honest. You'll get the ball back with loads of players up the pitch, and everyone will just be still attacking. You'll probably even notice your fullbacks will be up the pitch attacking if you do that. So keep it on balance, so everyone kind of filters back into their position smoothly, and you don't then look at potentially then, once you've won the ball, losing it straight away and getting counter-attacked and loads of players being out of position. So I definitely keep it on balanced. Width, again, don't play around with. Players in the box. Now this one, I've notched it up to 6. Now this is mainly because, as you can see from the animation, you'll then end up, say your right attacking mid crosses in this example, you'll have your striker, your cam, and then your left attacking mid there. So again, it creates a bit more chaos in the box. You'll sometimes see that happen even if you have it on a bit lower, like 3. You might still see 3 people get into the box because you have to get into the box on your cams. But I find that will only happen when there's space to, or it's necessary for your other attacking mid to get into the box. Corners preference, free kicks preference. Instructions: getting behind, stay forward on your striker. That's pretty much default across a lot of these formations, apart from the ultra defensive. Your cams, I would have all 3 on stay forward and get into the box, because if you lose the ball up the pitch, and let's say the opposition's defence is going to be the ones most likely to make a mistake or a heavy touch, so you want your players up the pitch, ready for that to deliver the pressure. Get into the box on all 3 attacking mids. CDMs, I'd have stay back while attacking, cover centre on all of them. This, again, I'd keep it on balance for this one, because you don't want them just doing one specific thing in this one. Your CDMs are going to be high pressing, so if you have it on cutting passing lanes, they might not necessarily press the ball. They might just end up in the middle of 2 kind of players trying to cut the passing lane, if that makes sense. So again, you could probably end up having this on balanced attack if you want. It's all preference. Fullbacks I'd keep on stay back while attacking though, because again, you don't want to be too aggressive to the point where you forfeit all your defence and end up with 2 centre backs or a centre back and CDM. So I'd definitely keep the structure at the back as stay back while attacking, But again, this left CDM, you could always end up having it on balanced. Again, preference. Have a play around with these, modify them how you like. See what works best for you. And on ultra attacking, what I do is have very high depth. I'd have 8 depth if you're going to play the press after possession loss, because this will basically mean you're just going for it. As soon as you lose the ball, bang, you have players pressing to get the ball back. And the 8 depth basically means your team will be very high up the pitch. When you lose the ball, it'll just be chaos. You'll create chaos for the opposition, to be honest. I'd highly recommend having 8 depth on this, especially in the 4-2-3-1. I found that to be, as there's only with the one striker, them attacking mids need to be high up, ready to support the striker with a press. And offensive style, fast build up, you just want to try and get as many chances as you can at this point. You're almost forfeiting defence for attack, essentially. You just need the goal. I'd rather lose 5-3 going for a win than lose 4-3. It just doesn't make any sense to not go for a win, to be honest. Again, players in the box at this point, so that will mean you have your striker, attacking mids, but so the player doing the animation there will most likely end up being your right back in this situation. So you'll have both wide attacking mids, your central attacking mid, and your striker in the box, and probably even your CDM at this point. Corners, again, preference. You can have it on 4, 5. 4 is probably ideal for the ultra attacking. You need to just try and get a header, even though they're awful in this game. You need to just try. Free kicks, again, preference. So with the instructions, so we'll start from the back. I have the fullbacks on join attack. Now, you just want everyone to be up the pitch as high as possible, essentially, because you just need to try and press after you lose the ball, or if you lose the ball and don't get a goal. So having both fullbacks up the pitch will be effective with that, as they'll be able to support the wide attacking mids with the press, who are then supporting the strikers. So essentially you have about 4 up top, and then your 2 fullbacks act like, I don't know, right mid and a left mid, let's say. Your CDMs now, I'd have that right CDM drop between the defenders and cover centre. Because both your fullbacks are pushing up the pitch, you need at least another person to support them. So essentially you're going to a 3 at the back, I see it as, and I find that works very well if you're having both your fullbacks on join the attack. Now this CDM, again, cut passing lanes, up to you. Balanced, man mark. I wouldn't go with man mark on this, to be honest. I'd either keep it on cut passing lanes, or balanced. Cut passing lanes works a bit better in this because you're having a lot more players up the pitch. This player may not necessarily need to help with the pressing a lot of the time. For example, they might not need to support the left attacking mid as much, because the left back will be supporting it more. For the attacking mids, I have stay forward, get into the box, and aggressive interceptions. Now again, you just want to be high pressing, trying to get the ball back. So having aggressive interceptions means they'll just throw themselves pretty much at every chance they can get at an interception. If they get it, brilliant. If they don't, I mean, you have your fullbacks there to support them, so it's not, that big of an issue. But you just got to go for the win at that point. However, I keep the central cam on normal, just because I feel like if they try and just pass through the middle, the CDM might not be there to support, if that makes sense. So having it on just normal means they'll do a bit of both. And your striker, you just want to keep it on getting behind, stay forward, aggressive interception. So they'll just be pressing the centre halves, and then if they get a chance, boom, they'll intercept it, if that makes sense. So they were the custom tactics. I hope they helped. If this is the point in the video where you click off, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped. Leave a like, subscribe. But I'm going to be showing some players who work well in these positions. They'll probably end up being fairly similar to the old videos I've done, because it's pretty much just meta players. But if you want some advice with sorts of players who fit in these positions, make sure you stick around, and I'll be back with the fullbacks in just a sec. Right then, so with fullbacks, I've got a wide range, to be honest. Right backs are all on the bench and left backs are all on the pitch. 4-1's what I believe would work well in this formation. Again, we're not going to go with goalkeepers and centre backs because in my opinion they're just, you know, default OP players, you know, like your Militaos, your Van Dijks, stuff like that. So with your full backs, for the right back even, João Cancelo, Trent, Semedo, Bellerin, Wan-Bissaka, Klosterman, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name again, all that, Saravia, Malquit, and Babu and Atal. This Atal card looks very good as well. I know he's got an inform as a left wing at the minute, but in terms of an attacking minded, in my opinion, full back, this card would be very good. But yeah, all of these fullbacks in my opinion would work well in this formation. With the left backs, you've got Robertson, Alaba, Brazilian, Alba, Tellez, Benjamin Mendy, Ferland Mendy, Gaia, Hakimi, Firpo, Masuaku. These are all good left backs. Again, with kind of left backs, you're mainly looking for pace, agility, balance, obviously good defensive stats or decent defensive stats. Again, the main sort of stats in there, I'd say, are defensive awareness, standing tackle, stuff like that. But yeah, obviously some of these fullbacks haven't always got the best agility and balance like Benjamin Mendy, but they are, you know, just solid fullbacks in their position. It's again down to preference on what type of fullback you want, but here are just some options as to what ones I'd recommend for this sort of formation. We'll move on to the CDMs and then the cams and then the strikers in just a sec. So in terms of players who'd work well with CDMs, I've selected out a wide range of players you could all pick from. You know, obviously starting with low price ranges, ending in high. That's what I try and do when picking these sorts of players. So we have Kante, Witsel, Matuidi, Rodri, Gaia, Fabinho, Thiago Mendes, Delaney, Torreira, Lerman, I think it's Gabamin, something like that, Pogba, De Jong, Vidal, Allen, Paulinho, Goretzka, Wijnaldum, Rabiot, Thomas Partey, Herrera, another Herrera, and Sissoko. So all these sorts of players, you know, they're either tall, defensively strong and stuff like that. Some key stats I'd look out for are obviously agility, balance, but as I said before, not always necessary. You've got to take into account all kind of stats. Pace is always nice to have as well. Defensive awareness, stand tackle needs to be fairly solid depending on the role. Interceptions is always nice to have on the cut passing lanes one. Someone like Vieira is very well for that because they've got good interceptions and also tall. Aggression as well I find is quite important with your CDMs, but not necessary. But yeah, these are quite a wide range of CDMs I've selected out. Some will partner well together more than others, but we'll get into the cams in just a sec. So for your cams, you kind of have two different types of players. Your central one needs to be one who's not, well, in my opinion, your central one needs to almost be your slowest one, because they're going to be the one who kind of dictates the play and stuff, whereas your wide ones are going to be the ones who are running in behind, you know, making the you know, runs which break the defensive line, stuff like that. So someone like a Royce on the wide would be more suited than a De Bruyne, but a De Bruyne centrally would be more suited than a Royce wide, if that makes sense. So these are some of the sorts of players I've picked out. Royce as a wide attacking mid, De Bruyne and Coutinho as central, Gomez, Havertz could probably play both, Van der Beek as central, Lanzini as central, this Akone as a wide, these two as wide. This Harriet you could probably end up playing both, but again I'd mainly stick him on wide. Mertens both, again he's good enough to play both in my opinion, but if you're going to have a slower one playing wide, Insigne, Depay, Zaha, Mora, and these two, Quintero and Josh King, all wide. So some of the key stats, again, definitely pace, especially for the wide ones, not so much for the central. Good dribbling, especially agility and balance, again, especially for the wide ones, not so much the central ones. So let's take De Bruyne for example. His agility and balance isn't as high as someone as, let's say, a Royce or something like that. So agility and balance is more for the wide ones, but again, someone like a Coutinho who can play centrally has fantastic agility and balance. I mean, you could end up sticking him out wide, but I play more centrally. But yeah, as the more central one, you're looking for more the dribbling. So yeah, more like 80 sort of plus dribbling, especially for the high end players like a De Bruyne. But someone like a Harrit, again 84 dribbling, not the best ball control and stuff, but he'd be able to do both. We'll move to the strikers. I know you've centre forwards in this sort of position for the cams, but in my opinion, someone like a Lucas Moura is more suited to a wide attacking mid position than a striking position. Also, there's the option to convert wingers like Mbappe and stuff like that into the cams. Obviously, you can do that by starting your formation differently in game. But for these, I try and just keep it as players who you can start as a cam, if that makes sense. But yeah, we'll move into the striker now before we wrap up the video. So with the strikers, it's pretty similar to the other videos in what you're kind of looking for. So we have Aguero, Martinez, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Jovic, Werner, Rashford, Ben Yedder, Vardy, Bakamambu, Morales, Gamero, Inaki Williams, Gabriel Jesus, Malen, Muriel, Rebic and Alex Teixeira. Obviously there's a load more strikers out there who are good, but these are just some of the few I picked out. Some of the stats you're really looking out for then, obviously you want good shooting stats, decent pace. Someone like Aguero hasn't necessarily got the best pace, but they make up for it in their dribbling, and obviously his shooting is phenomenal, so someone like him works well. But yeah, like I was saying, agility, balance, Vardy's isn't great, but it's usable, if that makes sense. Something like 70 is about the lowest you'd really want to go for that. But yeah, pace, shooting, agility and balance, they're the main sort of ones I'd look out for. Someone like this Bakamambu's a very good card as well. Highly recommend him if you need a cheap striker. But also a super sub, to be honest. I'm going to end up getting him in case I need super sub for the weekend league. Yeah, they're the strikers. That was the 4-2-3-1 formation review and breakdown and custom tactics. I hope you did enjoy the video and it was beneficial for you. If you did, drop a like, comment any ideas you have in terms of what formations you want me to review next. I have a few in mind still and some custom tactics ready for them, tested and work well with them sort of formations. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here and you're enjoying the content. The support I've got recently is pretty insane for my standards. But yeah, so yeah, thank you guys and I'll see you soon.